One of my followers mentioned something. Why don't you make a video talking about the consequences of leaks? The consequences of leaks happening in the gaming industry. If y'all want, we can talk about it, cause I do think it's an interesting subject. All right, first of all, something I've noticed is the hypocrisy from some media outlets and gaming sites. Like, they spend the whole fucking year talking about GTA 6 leaks because it gets views. Literally, anything GTA 6 related gets clicks and engagement like crazy. But then, with another game, suddenly it's like, no, no, poor developers. This has consequences. This could hurt them. We saw this with the Wolverine case. Some outlets straight up said, oh no, we won't talk about this because it came from a hack. It's a leaked build and it could affect the devs. And I'm like, bro, what about GTA 6 then? I get it. Rockstar is a massive company, a behemoth, but it's the same fucking thing. The Rockstar leak was huge, and y'all spent the entire damn summer milking it for content. Like, either you're in or you're out. You can't be half in, half out. You either cover leaks because they get views and are interesting to talk about, or you decide not to because you don't want to support or spread that kind of stuff. But you gotta pick a side. This is more of a moral choice than anything else. GTA? GTA is gonna sell no matter what. Wolverine? Not necessarily. I mean, these are huge studios. If you were talking about an indie game, then okay, I get the concern. But bro, are you seriously telling me Wolverine isn't gonna sell? Wolverine is gonna sell like a mother f asterisk cur. So yeah, like I said, either you play the game or you don't. Sitting in the middle, acting all neutral, just feels weird to me. But whatever, let's dive deeper into this. Now, speaking for myself, I actually enjoy talking about leaks, rumors, all that stuff. I think it adds to the industry, like it's part of the game. It's a topic I like in general. But I do have some limits. For example, I won't talk about spoilers. Story-related leaks? That's a big no for me. That's just obvious. I'm not interested in it, and you're never gonna see me discussing the plot of a leaked game. Like when The Last of Us Part 2 got leaked. Nah, I wasn't gonna talk about that. That shit ruins the experience and the surprise for people. I don't see the appeal, I don't care about it, and I'm not even gonna consume those leaks myself. It's just not my thing. Now, if it's about game mechanics, that's different. Take the new Far Cry, for example, that comes to mind. There were leaks about it, like Tom Henderson mentioned how it's gonna be set on an island and we'll have a time limit. Basically, if you don't finish the game in time, the run ends. But you can extend your time by doing certain actions, like clearing outposts and stuff. That's interesting because it's about gameplay, and I think that's worth discussing. But I'm not gonna be like, oh, it's about an orphan who got lost in the jungle and was raised by wolves. Nope. That's story, and I don't care. Mechanics and systems? Sure. Also, this isn't exactly related, but something that pisses me off is when trailers spoil too much about a game I already know I'm gonna buy. That shit drives me crazy. Like, imagine I'm hyped for a game, I'm watching a conference, and suddenly they keep dragging the trailer out, revealing a ton of stuff. I'm just sitting there like, Anno, stop. I already want to play it. Don't show me more, you son of a peach. Obviously, we're not going to talk about leaked personal data from employees. Aside from being illegal, which is already obvious, it's also just pointless. Like, what's the point of discussing leaked employee data? Imagine, oh, let's check out this leaked list of Rockstar employees. Look, here's their name, their ID, their last name. Oh, wow, this guy's last name is Banano. What a fucking riot. Asterisk bro, who cares? What does that even add to the conversation? Same with source code leaks. I just don't give a shit. Like, are we seriously gonna sit here analyzing GTA source code? Bro, I don't care about that stuff. Now, the blurrier line, and this is something I actually want to ask you guys about, is when something gets leaked through a hack. That's different from a leaker. Because at the end of the day, leakers are mostly just spreading rumors, and most of them are full of shit. They just throw darts in the dark and hope something sticks. But when it's a hack, it's different. The line is blurrier because it's 100% real information. And the more you talk about it, the more you're kind of fueling the cycle. like making it more tempting for others to hack more stuff. Now, obviously, hacking is illegal. We're not even debating that. What I mean is, should we talk about the leaked info that comes from a hack? That's where it gets tricky, cause at the end of the day, this is more of a moral debate. Like, let's say GTA 6 gets hacked, and we find out, I don't know, that it's gonna have a stealth system as advanced as Metal Gear's, and people start talking about it everywhere. What do? Do you just ignore it? Do you pretend it doesn't exist? Because no matter how much you ignore it, that info is already out there. And since it's GTA 6, one of the most hyped games ever, that leak is gonna spread like wildfire no matter what. So, do we just act like we don't see it? Do we pretend it never happened? That's why I always struggle with this whole hacking and leaks dilemma. Like, what should you do? What's the right move? At the end of the day, my stance is this. The info is already out there. It's viral. It's spreading everywhere, especially on social media. You can't control it anymore. So I lean more towards at least talking about it. If it's gonna be a thing anyway, we might as well have a discussion and generate some discourse around it. Now, let's talk about positives and negatives, cause I do think there are some positives when it comes to leaks. For example, from a marketing perspective, which is something I feel I can actually talk about with a bit of authority, leaks can sometimes have an impact. Usually, a marketing campaign has clear objectives and a strict timeline, like trailer drops on this date. Depending on reactions, maybe another reveal later. Press gets early access on this date. Then another media push here. Everything is set in stone. It's all meticulously planned. But if a major leak happens, it can completely mess up the schedule. And honestly, that's a huge pain in the ass for the poor marketing team that now has to scramble and adjust everything. That's just facts, you can't deny that. That said, these kinds of leaks aren't the most common. The really disruptive ones usually come from hacks. A recent example? The Switch 2 leaks, which, funny enough, is what made one of my followers bring up this whole discussion. Now, did those leaks actually affect Nintendo's plans for how they wanted to reveal the Switch 2? Maybe. Do I personally think it screwed them over? Not really. I doubt it negatively impacted them in any major way, but it might have forced them to adjust their timeline a bit. Another big downside is losing the element of surprise. When a game has something big planned and a leak completely ruins that moment. One example I remember, and this is actually ironic now, but whatever, was during the Game Awards. A few hours before the show, some random store accidentally leaked that The Last of Us Factions was gonna be announced. And boom, just like that, the surprise was gone. So yeah, I don't know if you guys remember, but it got leaked just a couple of hours before the event. And yeah, that was totally the store's fault for leaking it early. No idea if that broke any NDA or whatever, but it's ironic now because, well, the game got canceled anyway. But at the time, when the big surprise at the end of the event was Factions, we were all like, oh, cool, I guess. The impact was totally ruined. And that's the thing, a big leak doesn't just hurt the game, it hurts the entire event. It affects the hype, the excitement, the overall impression of the whole thing. Instead of being shocked and hyped, we were all just sitting there completely unfazed like, yeah, we already knew about this. Let's call it the banana effect. Yeah, I like that. The banana effect, when something gets leaked right before a big reveal, and because of that, the surprise is lost, and you just don't care anymore. You're like, meh, I already knew this, so I guess I'm kinda disappointed now. The impact on developers. And of course, we can't ignore the devs. Certain leaks have to hit them hard. I remember when The Last of Us Part 2 leaked, some of the devs at Naughty Dog actually came out and said it really messed them up. Like, not only did it spoil the experience for players, but it also wrecked the team's morale. They weren't even finished with development yet, and suddenly massive leaks were everywhere. That means they had to deal with tons of negative opinions about the game before it even launched. And at least when a game is already released, you can be like, all right, it's out, people can think what they want. But when you're still developing it, and you're already getting hate, backlash, and even threats, which actually happened with TLU2, that shit takes a toll on you. That's why I think one of the biggest downsides of leaks is when people start forming strong opinions on an unfinished game and just completely trash it before it's even out. One of the biggest issues with leaks, especially when it's a hacked, unfinished version, is that people are dumb as fuck. Like, really dumb. They don't understand the development process at all. We saw this with GTA 6 and later with Wolverine. Footage leaked, and suddenly, people were like, it doesn't look that impressive. Graphics look kinda bad. Animation seems stiff and unpolished. Of course, you idiot. Of course it looks unfinished, you absolute moron. It's a pre-alpha version that got leaked. What do you expect? Some people really need to wake the fuck up. And yeah, while something like GTA 6 is too big to fail, this can damage the image of other games. If people see an early, unfinished build and start thinking, oh, this looks low budget, that perception sticks. It can even affect sales because some dumbass don't realize that polish comes in the final stages of development. A perfect example? Half-Life 2. That leak was so bad that they rewrote parts of the game before launch. That's how serious it can get. The positive side of leaks. That being said, not all leaks are bad. In some cases, they can actually help. Let's be real, leaks generate hype. Certain leaks and rumors spread like wildfire. Everyone starts talking about them, making theories, speculating, creating content. It drives discussion and keeps the game trending on social media. At the end of the day, it's word-of-mouth marketing. When something is officially announced, there's not much left to speculate about. You just see the reveal, react, and move on. But when a leak happens, especially when it's vague or incomplete, it fuels discussion. People make theories, predictions, and thousands of videos about it. And whether you like it or not, that's free publicity. A good example? The Switch 2. So yeah, this can do this, and that can do that, and boom, 8,000 theories flying around. But hey, at the end of the day, that's discussion, that's engagement, that's hype. I don't know if any of you remember the Cuphead leak. Anyone? That shit was crazy. Before the official announcement, images of Cuphead got leaked. At first, people didn't even know the name. All they saw was a game with that retro, old-school cartoon aesthetic. And people lost their minds. It went super viral, and everyone started talking about it, saying they loved the art style, speculating about what kind of game it would be. That early hype massively helped Cuphead. So by the time Microsoft officially revealed it, it didn't need to fight for attention among a bunch of other games in the showcase. The game had already gone viral, people were already hyped. All that was left was confirming the name and dropping some extra details, like the fact that it started as a boss rush game before they expanded it. That leak? Huge win for them. Another positive side of leaks. Now, looking at it as positively as possible, early feedback from leaks can help developers. If something leaks before launch, devs can see how people react and maybe tweak a few things at the last minute. Obviously, they can't perform miracles. You can't just rebuild a game overnight. But leaks can serve as a reality check, letting devs adjust small aspects before release. So yeah, leaks can have some upsides. The real issue, morality. At the end of the day, this all comes down to a moral debate. We're talking about a clash between two core principles. Freedom of the press. Journalists can argue that covering rumors and leaks is public interest news, so they're just doing their job. And honestly, they're not wrong. Intellectual property and AMP, developer rights. On the other side, devs can see leaks as a violation of their creative and commercial rights. They're trying to control their vision and the way their game is revealed, and leaks mess with that. And that's where the real conflict lies. There's this thin, weird, blurry line that's hard to define. The temptation to be the first to reveal a leak clashes with the responsibility to respect the work of developers. But then again, journalists have a responsibility too, to report first, to be ahead of the news. And this is where it gets messy. Because here's the thing, when GTA 6 gameplay leaked, everyone was talking about it. People were discussing it everywhere. But if you dare to show even a single pixel of that footage, boom, your video gets nuked. Takedown, copyright strike, you're done. And honestly, Rockstar was within their rights to do that. But then there's a contradiction. You can't show the actual leaked content, but you can talk about it. The information itself, your perspective, your breakdown, your take on the leak, that falls under freedom of the press. Even if the leak came from a hack, once it's out there, it becomes public information. And in that sense, journalists have the right to report on it. You can't be sued for discussing something that's already public. At that point, it's more of a moral question than a legal one. The moral dilemma. Back in journalism school, they told us a wild story about a journalist leaking peace negotiations between the M19 guerrilla and the Colombian government. The press knew they had to handle the situation carefully, but one guy decided to expose everything. And just like that, the peace talks collapsed before they even started. That was one hell of a leak. So yeah, it's complicated. At the end of the day, this all comes down to what's morally acceptable and what's not. Obviously, there are clear lines certain leaks shouldn't be shared. Employee data? Hell no. Source code? Nope, that's straight up illegal. Anything that puts people at risk? Off limits. That's not just morally wrong, it's against the law. But when other information gets leaked, stuff that's already public, can you just ignore it? No. If something is big news and of public interest, a journalist's job is to talk about it. You don't have to promote the leak, but you can't just pretend it doesn't exist. The controlled leak theory. Now, another interesting theory. What if some companies leak their own stuff on purpose? A lot of people believe that devs accidentally leak things to test audience reactions before making a final decision. Like, let's give this info to some leakers and see how people respond. If people love it, they lean into it. If people hate it, they can just say it was fake or change direction. It's kind of like that old conspiracy theory that antivirus companies create viruses just so they can sell more software. Because hey, it benefits them, doesn't it? Could it be true? Maybe. Miami confirmed it. Dead internet theory. The Illuminati did it. Who knows? I guess we'll never really find out. But yeah, it does make sense. You get free feedback without any risk. If you leak something and people love it, great. You can roll with it. If people hate it, you just go, nah, that was fake. Totally made up. Not real at all.